So we've got a French guy drinking wine who needs a translator, an Irish guy who thinks he can speak English, and then we have an Englishman in between throwing abuse at us. This is going to be perfect.
It will be.
Muesli.
That's your lunch.
Now I got you.
Busy.
Can you at least eat like properly, Tim? Please, just like but but it's on video right now.
Do you want me just to leave you guys having a domestic? I can come back in an hour.
No, actually, you're here just to coach us. We have a trouble. That's our relationship right now.
I can tell you straight away, you guys are a lost cause. It's not going to work.
Fuck, man.
Oh my God, you're never supposed to say that. I know that. I read one-on-one relationship counseling, and you're never supposed to say that.
Well, I've said similar to clients. Sometimes they've needed to hear it. I've said to a lady one day, she was sitting down the first day in a workshop, and she's gone on about her life, and she was just going on and gone into a big rabbit hole, and I just basically looked at her and I said, so basically you're fucked. And I swear to God, I said this to her, and she looked at me in total shock, and a few of the people I knew started laughing. Other people were disgusted. And then she looked at me, and there was a combination between anger, tears, and laughter. And she goes, do I sound that bad? And I said, you've no idea how bad you sound. and that was the beginning of the conversation, and we did a lot of great work from that point forth.
Okay, so...
And now you're married to her, and she left her husband, and you stole...
How'd you know?
Just a stab in the dark. Whatever.
Philip, no, but the question is, are we worse than her? That's the thing. Do you think?
Totally.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
But she had one thing going for that you guys don't. She was actually attractive and she had some talent. You guys are really screwed.
We're fucked completely. Yeah.
I think it will be a fun podcast. I've started recording, by the way, 2 minutes ago, so everything is in right now. Sorry.
Oh, great.
We keep everything. That's the theme of this show. We don't edit. We don't sound professional at all, by the way. And this is us, basically. How you still want to do this show thing, Philip?
Yeah, well, it's too late now. I'm locked in. My wife handcuffed me to the chair, and I'm here. I can't get out.
Shit, you must do this thing, Philip, And
I'm sure that's got something to do with the podcast. Man, I'm going to handcuff you to this chair. I've got a podcast. Oh, okay. Well, you can do the podcast. I'm still going to handcuff you to the chair.
Man,
totally.
Man, can you eat your Cheerios, Because when you have your mouth, like this, I can hardly understand you as well. I have a French accent, but your English accent with Cheerios is worse, I think,
It's not Cheerios. This is expensive muesli.
Oh, muesli then. Okay, thank you. Good. Philip, glad that you're here,
Thank you.
I've tried to have you on this show for 3 months, and we had back and forth with Pauline, but, I didn't want to give up because I'm a big fan. This show, it's only about having people that we love, and I love you. Here we go. That's it. So I met you, I discovered a year ago, you were in this, on London Reel. A year ago, you did the first episode with Brian Rose. And to be honest, at the time, I was kind of far away from, London Reel. I was following that much, but I just one day opened this, I see all these episodes that I've missed, and I've seen your picture on this, and I clicked it. And I listened to the end, and then I say, oh my God, he's fucking brilliant, this guy, And then I went to YouTube and listened to your talks, these 1 hour long talks, until the end. I have to say I'm not a big fan of speakers, but I'm a big fan of you. You changed my mind on this. You're very genuine, you're very authentic, you swear just like us, and you're a coach, you're a writer, and you change lives. Is it okay? Is it a good intro, or I'm totally screwed it up?
No, keep going.
Oh fuck.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean it's somebody asked me yesterday. I was literally in the gym last night, and I know I look skinny and
the gym because you got a speaking engagement. Apparently,
no, I was actually cleaning the gym, trying to make some money on the side.
Okay.
And the trainer said, because I worked with him once, we just moved house, we moved to the States, and he basically said, I worked with you last week, and then I went onto your website. I didn't realize you were at that level, and this was his perspective. And I don't stop to consider the stuff that I do a lot. Like I stop and try to be grateful for the position I'm on, but I don't try to overassess or analyze whether I'm good, bad, or indifferent. I just keep moving towards what I feel is right, and let other people be the judge and jury of that for what it's worth.
And this is what I like about you is it seems to me that you don't have any filters. You don't have any filters. You just make a decision and you go with it. It's not about planning. Okay, I'm in this shitty podcast. That will doesn't have like tons of 100,000 listeners, just like in London Real. But you're here with us. So this is what I appreciate with you. You
can leave now if you want.
Yeah, if you can leave now.
He had no idea that we didn't have 100,000.
Pauline, what did you do? You just booked me with these shitty guys. Sorry. But anyway, so this is what I feel actually. So it's good that you're here, and that's it. I have a
so one thing, if you don't mind me jumping in, one thing that a lot of people say about me. Well, maybe on the slightly positive side, I'm sure they say a lot of negative things about me as well. But one of the observations I hear a lot from people is how authentic I am. And what I suppose to some extent, I kind of appreciate that. And I feel to some extent it's true, and it's truer than it was. I was asked recently, how did you become so authentic? And I said to the individual, I said, you're making an assumption that I am. And while I honestly feel I'm more authentic than I've ever been, I still think I have, if you use the analogy of masks, I still believe I've got probably another 50 masks to go. And that'll take me my entire life, and I'll still never remove them. So, I don't know why I feel the need just to kind of stop and just maybe qualify that a little bit, that while people might assume I'm authentic, I believe I am, but I still believe there's so much more. I still think I have filters, like I care what people think, and I still struggle with sharing my absolute truth, even though it's like jumped like so far in my life, but I still feel there's so much more to go. And the reason I know why I share that because sometimes people feel like when they hear somebody speak, or they get inspired by a speaker or a writer or whatever it happens to be, they feel that, oh my God, that's them and this is me. And they feel that there's such a massive chasm. And I just don't want people to feel that, because it feels like only yesterday I was sitting in an audience looking at a stage saying, wow, can I imagine standing on that stage someday? What would that be like? And I'm very grateful to find myself on some of those stages today. But the journey's not as far as people often think it is.
Right. So you said 50 masks, right? Okay, let's bring them down one by one today, like on this podcast. Let's remove them and see what is behind that, okay? This way we'll achieve something. Okay, no, I'm just talking shit right now. But actually,
let's do it. I'm fine. I think sometimes we don't even know what they are, though. That's one of the challenges with masks.
But do you think that we can actually? That's a good question. Do you think that we can be totally authentic? Is it like a goal? Actually, can we achieve that? Like just one day, like look at me.
Don't you love the way? Most importantly, don't you love the way he says authentic?
Fuck you! Fuck you! Fuck you!
I don't think we can be fully authentic, and nor should I think that should be the outcome, the goal, the desired pinnacle, the desired summit of life, because why shoot for perfection when it doesn't exist? I think that our the invitation is just to become a little bit more authentic every day, every week, every month, or every year, is just to start speaking a bit more of our truth and how we actually feel as opposed to what we think in this world. But we should never aspire to be fully authentic, because even if we feel we've gotten there, and the amount of people I meet who feel they're fully authentic, fully aware, or fully whatever, that they've dealt with a part of their story and they've gone from a place of absolute awareness to complacency. So the goal, in my personal opinion, should never be full authenticity, ever.
Okay, so is it in the middle? Because you have, I think one of your tagline is this authenticity code or something like that. You're selling, you help people to be more open, more there, more okay with who they are really, right? This is what Yeah, that was a talk I did. So that was a talk called The Authenticity Code, which is probably about 4 or 5 years old. And I would say, even if I look at that talk right now, I feel that a lot of my work and what I believe in the world has changed a lot. Right. So if you go way back into YouTube, you'll find me talking about goal setting and stuff like that. And it's not that I don't believe in goal setting. I just don't believe in traditional goal setting works. So I'm evolving as my work evolves. A lot of people just stay still and they deliver a message that they feel the world wants to hear. I believe I constantly evolved and try to present concepts that the world needs to hear. And that is, I think, the one thing that I do very well is I don't just tell people what they want to hear. I'm prepared to be judged and to piss people off in order to help them get to a better place. Okay. So what can you tell us right now, that can piss us off? Like,
I'm sure I could tell you a lot, but I don't know anything. I don't really know anything about you guys. So
I want to ask you a question, because Olivier has the habit of shooting guests at me, and it's like, oh, we're working with this guy, and he sent me your website, and I'm going to be honest, I wasn't familiar with you, so I went and looked, and I spent probably an hour this morning looking at your website, and that classes as research on Raw Podcast. Okay, that is serious research. Okay, so when you say something like that doesn't mean this or this doesn't mean that, how do you know? How do you know? Maybe for some people it does mean that. Maybe for some people, the path you're treading is the path that they want to go on. I know it's really important to suggest to people, and I'm getting a bloody reverb through my earphones now, but that they do what is right for them. But how do you know that what you're saying isn't right for them? You're saying, well, you said categorically, well, I know this won't be right for other people. Maybe it is. How do you know it is not?
I need you to qualify that. So can you give me an example of something that either I said, or just delve in a little bit so I have a bit more context?
Now I've got to use my memory.
That's a challenge, Remember, he was eating muesli.
It's just unfair. It's unfair.
Okay. I can ask another question while you're searching, if you want, your memory, while you're digging. You want to do that, Tim, or is it okay?
So what you're saying is I said something. This is absolute, if I'm gathering this right. But what you're saying is it might be right for one person, but not for another. Is that what you're suggesting?
Well, you were suggesting that what you do is right for you, but it may not be right for somebody else.
What do you mean when I do in terms of my coaching style, my career choice? What I'm unclear in terms of the context.
Just in life in general, just in how you are as a person, how you act, and the advice that you may give.
Okay.
So you may give advice and say, well, okay, this may not be right. And the reason why I'm really searching on this is because it's kind of what I do. I often say, well, look, this may not be right for you, but it's right for me. So I'm curious because I don't hear that very often from other coaches or from other speakers, and I'm curious to know. I know what my rationale behind it is, but I'm curious to get what yours is.
Yeah. So when I work with somebody, I don't have a 10-step process of success. I don't have a 7,000-step system to fulfillment and meaning. There is no one size fits all. What's that?
You loser.
Yeah, exactly.
He has one. Tim, what is yours?
I have a 6,946 step process to success.
Okay,
I don't have a one size fits all, but what I do, and I believe, and I've been told I do this very well, is I extract the truth out of other people. So what I do is I help bring them to what they're meant to do. It's not about telling them that they should be this, they should be that. This is what they need. They need to set goals. They don't need to set goals. They need to do this. They need to, carve time out. They need to, spend X amount of quality time with family. None of that matters to me. So I just spent a half day with a private client yesterday. And what we did was we delved into who he is and therefore who he wants to be, as opposed to where he is and what he wants to achieve. And they're very, very different things, because alignment is one of those things in the world today. There's so many people doing shit that they're not destined to do. They're not here, and they're not getting a lot of fulfillment out of it. So what I do is I'll do a reality check in their lives. I'll go back into their past and understand why their current life is the way it is today based on their past, and look at some of the decisions they're making for the future. But to me, it's all about what brings them meaning. It's not what I think brings them meaning. Who gives a shit what Philip McKernan thinks? But if I can bring them to a place where they are actually starting to align with what really fires them up and turns them on, then it's not right or wrong for me, but it's right for them. So I'm not sure that answers your question, but that's my approach to working with people. Yeah.
No, it's good. Are you okay with the answer, Tim? Did you finish your muesli, by the way?
Yes,
okay, that's good.
I finished my muesli, and I am okay with the answer.
Cool.
I think it's a great answer, because I think it, to me, it circles back to values, and I'm really struggling at the moment because I'm getting a load of feedback, so I apologise. But I think values are what drive people. Their personal values are what motivate us. And as a coach, if I don't know a client's values, then I really don't know how to coach them. And I think what you're doing there is digging down, maybe under a different description or whatever, it doesn't really matter, but you're digging down and finding out what a client's values are. And please feel free to dig agree, because I said digging down.
Your English is even worse than before, man. I know what happened to me. I don't know.
I don't know what was in the muesli. There must have been some whiskey in the muesli.
I think he's drunk. What do you think?
I wish it was.
Anyway.
Yes, it was. It was whiskey.
Okay, that must be the strangest podcast that you've been on, I think. Can we agree on this one, Philip?
Yeah,
100%.
Cool.
Okay.
And unfortunately, it's not a 20-minute one. I think it's about an hour. So who knows what's going to happen from here?
Shit.
I know. But answer the question. Seriously, do you think it comes down to values?
No.
Wow.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
No, it doesn't, and I tell you why I don't believe it does. It does to an extent, but I tell you what, people are so unaware of what they really value. So I've had 3 clients literally this week share with me that they've all done something they're not particularly happy with, they're ashamed with, they feel guilty with, they feel hypocritical around. And all of the things they've done are in contrast and opposition to their values, the values that they've identified. Here's the challenge, that when you sit someone down and they start to identify their values, 99.9% of the time, they're identifying them from an intellectual perspective. They're identifying values that they think they should have. They've told themselves they have. Their parents have passed on to them. Society has passed on to them. And if you dig beyond that, just, okay, why is that a value? Why is that a value? But here's the big test. If it's such a value, why do you need to keep telling me it's a value? Why don't you show me? So think about it. So when I meet people that are constantly telling, my number 1 value is family. My number 2 value is integrity. My number 3 value, okay, great, fine. That's what you're telling me. That's what you believe. Let's examine it. How much time are you spending at home? Well, I mean, that's a bit disconnected because I'm busy at work and I'm getting my shit organized. And they feel guilty and resentful either towards themselves or the position that they're in. But they hold a value intellectually, but they're not living it. And therefore, that's one of the challenges. So when I say no, it's yes and no, but ultimately there's a disconnect often between people, what their values are and how they're actually showing up. So my invitation to people is said, don't tell me about your values, show me them. And what you're doing today is illustrating to me what you really value. So let's just take an example of this. Let's just take a guy who tells me my number 1 value is, it tends to be more prevalent in men in business, but my number 1 value is family. But I'm a workaholic and I'm staying away from my family and I'm not there as much. Now they're rationalizing, justifying to themselves that what they're doing is supporting their family and building for the future and giving them the freedom that they can go and spend with their family. I would argue that there perhaps is something else going on, that they don't want to be with their family, that they don't believe they're a good person, that they don't value who they are as a man, and therefore they lose themselves and their identity in what is familiar and what feels comfortable, which is work.
Wow.
I'm not sure if this makes any sense, but this is what I've...
No, it makes sense to me. It's fantastic because I disagree entirely, but it makes perfect sense. What you said, nothing you said I could argue with, but I think that somebody living in or out of alignment with their values, as the example you just gave, which is somebody that... believes in family and then goes to work all the time. I don't think that's a question that family isn't a value for them or their number 1 value. I think it's just their way of dealing with that, or their way of thinking that they can best achieve that, which is by accruing as much money as possible. So maybe their kids can go to school. Now you can rationalize that away and say that's a ridiculous way to view things, because at the end of the day you cannot ever buy that time back with your kids. I haven't got kids, but you can't. But I've dealt with clients, thousands of clients, of which hundreds of which aren't in alignment with the values. So really believe in something, but they don't practice it. And I don't think that's the same as saying that's not a value. I think it's more to the point that it is a value, but I'm scared to practice it. I'm scared of following through. I don't know how to follow through. I'm not sure if this is the right way to follow through or whatever. And so I think that's a big difference between.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut across. I'm not suggesting it's not a value. I'm not suggesting it's not a value. What I'm suggesting it's not their value. In other words, they didn't choose it. So like beliefs. So I believe there's 4 types of beliefs, and they may elude me right now, but there's inherited beliefs that we inherit from our parents. So for example, most people in Ireland are Catholics. Are they really Catholics or Christians because they really want to be, or did they actually did they get those beliefs passed down to them? Secondly is societal beliefs, like stuff that we commonly believe and hold to be true and so on and so forth. The third one is debilitating beliefs, like things like beliefs around, money, success, am I good enough, and so on, that really undermine us. And then finally, there's just the shit that we believe. But what the challenge is, and we're saying kind of the same thing, maybe coming at it slightly differently, is that if someone says to me, family is my number one value, what I'm saying is I'm not saying it's not a value. What I'm saying is, yeah, are you just saying that because you've always heard that? Are you saying that because that's what your dad said? What I'm saying is I'm asking you almost to detach from the value, challenge it to its core, because what you're doing on the surface is not illustrating this value. So there's a disconnect. There's a conflict in you. It's like when I work with Olympic athletes, I say, let go of the gold medal. They're going, what are you talking about? You're too attached to the outcome. You didn't choose this for you. And when you can disengage, like, let's just say we're all going out with a girl and we're not sure whether she's the right one. To some extent, we almost need to break up temporarily to understand whether we really want that person. Then re-engage on their terms and really understand that this value is something that I choose as opposed to something I inherited. And what you'll find is then people start to act upon that value in a very different way. But when I meet someone and they list 10 values, it's out of a book, but they don't emotionally connect with it. So they're values, but they don't own them. There's no ownership. They haven't absorbed them into their DNA and into their emotional state. And that's the difference for a lot of people, is they sound sexy because they list off their top 5 values, they hierarchy them 1 to 5 and everything else. But the reality is, are they actually living them? And if they're not living them, there's blockages. But also my challenge is, have you just taken it because it sounds sexy, or is it really, really yours? And it's an interesting exercise to really challenge somebody on their values.
And yeah, it is, and I've done it a lot, and I think there's value in what you just said, no pun intended. I do think that some people pick out values because they sound sexy, or because they feel like they should have that value. Like, it should be like, you've got to, I'm dealing with a father who's got 4 kids or whatever, and he feels like he should have family at number 1 or whatever. But I also think that I think that there's some people that do genuinely have those values, but aren't quite sure how to implement them. And, okay, so okay, yeah, go on.
Sorry, I thought you were paused there for a second. I did. Let's just take your father, or not your father, the father.
Yeah, don't say my father is dead.
We won't go into your father. Well, let's just take the father you're talking about. There's a possibility. I don't know the man, never heard about him, don't think. There's a possibility, and this is a weird one, and this is going deep, that he never chose to have children in the first place.
But yeah, it was just like a random client. I mean, there's nobody specific in mind. So
but let's just say
let's go with it. Yeah, okay.
You've got a father, and he's got 4 kids.
Yeah.
And he's a client of yours, or he's just a man you know. And he's got 4 kids, and he feels his number 1 value, the guilt and the pressure societally, internally, externally, everywhere, to have your family number 1. But the reality is he may not value them. And he may, if you go back 10 years when his first child was born, and I've had this conversation with a lot of fathers, did you actually choose to bring children into the room? And they look at me and go, Well, I mean, I was the one that was in the sexual encounter. I was the one, yeah, we verbally. Did you emotionally choose? Or is it something that you get married, you have to have kids, your wife took over, society took over. Before you know it, you've got 4 kids running around in diapers, everything else. Did you ever sit down and consciously choose this as an avenue? Or is this something you find yourself in? And it's really interesting. A lot of them will, if they really reflect, go, no, I love my kids. I'm not saying you don't love your kids, but did you choose this avenue consciously? Most of them don't. And then they feel they need to put the value in, and that's where it becomes really distorted, if this is making any sense.
Well, it's making a lot of sense, because I have a lot of conversations with clients about, is family there because you think they should be there, or because they are there? And that has changed the perspective of a lot of clients of mine, where they've said, well, you know, of course you've got to have your family as number one. And my response is, well, what makes you think you should have your family as number one? You know, if you know, at the end of the day, and I always say, I have my top 8 values, and family isn't in there. It doesn't mean to say I don't love my family. I love them to bits. You know, both my parents have passed away by now, but you know, I really love them. So no, I get 100% where you're coming from. And
I think you both agree on the same thing. You know, what you would describe, Philip, and what you said, Tim, is it's the bullshit that we are telling ourselves. You know, the pressure that you just mentioned, Philip, about, you know, I need to say that, but this is not what I think. This is not my core value. By the way, Tim, your book is about the core values. This is not something which is maybe hidden behind all this mask, behind all this pressure of the society and all the upbringing whatsoever. But for me, what is interested in your approach, Philip, it's all about the being first. It's not about the doing. For you, the first action, from what I understood, is you concentrate first on the being. You know, who are you? Is it correct?
Yes, absolutely, 100%. I mean, it's the same with the goals. You know, somebody walks into my office and they have a set of goals. And I say, great. So who owns the goals? Well, I do, of course. And you get, you know, what's your business? I'm in software. Great. So rather than working on how to grow the business and how to grow your life around the business, or your business around your life, it's like, so why are you in that business? And is this business a reflection of who you are at the core? Because if it's not, we're just going to spend the next 10 years trying to build a life, or 4 years or 6 months building a life around a business that you never wanted to be in the first place. And when someone tells me, because we're incredible, I mean, the research is showing us how we lie to ourselves about all sorts of things. And the scientists are arguing about why we lie to ourselves. And I don't really care why. What I care about is the fact that that's a reality and that we are. And I'll give you one illustration of this. They've got 2 groups of women. This is just one study of many. And they got them to draw their outline of their body shape, and they all drew them very, very accurately. They sent them off. One group was asked to read an article about architecture and buildings, and the other one about dating and about love. They both came back in, and one group drew their body image 20 to 25% more petite, smaller. In other words, it was distorted. It wasn't real. And that was this group here. They didn't talk about why. My perspective, my belief is that these people here got emotionally connected to the outcome. They became too attached to the outcome. And when that happens...
Sorry, Phil, can you explain that you said here, but anybody listening to this,
yeah,
can't see. Wait, can you explain which group you meant?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So the group that basically read the article about love and romance and so on and so forth and dating, they came back into the room and redrew their bodies 20 to 25% smaller, more petite, thinner, whatever one you want to call it. And the group that read around architecture and buildings recreated pretty much exactly the same drawing. Now, the scientists don't know why, really. They speculated, but my opinion and my view and my belief, actually more importantly, is when we become too attached to a specific outcome, it almost becomes very mechanical, very, very intellectual, and we end up distorting reality in order to achieve that outcome. So we're lying to ourselves all the time. So when someone tells me, well, this business is amazing, I love this business, I'm passionate about this business, that word is now attached to wine, it's attached to hockey, it's attached to cars, it's attached to everything. The word passion, we've now slapped it on the label of almost trees, widgets. And to me, one of the conversations I'm having in most recent time is, I want to know what your gift is. Are you executing every day using your talent? Or are you honoring your gift? And it's like taking passion, but bringing it deeper. what is your gift? And that is a conversation over the last 12 months I've been having with clients, and it's been absolutely fascinating.
Talent and gift. You always repeat that, actually. I think you repeated that also to London Real. And for the listeners who don't know that, you know, so how do you differentiate that? Because to me, it sounds almost the same, you know, I have talent and this is my gift. You know, you can put this in the same sentence, but you really make the difference. Can you explain that a little bit more?
Yeah, I'll attempt to. I believe a talent is something that we can be good at, and it can be anything from building a wall, building a house, you know, making wine. It can be building motorbikes. It could be anything. Our gift, I believe, is universal, and our gift is something that all of us have, and it's our ability to move people in an emotional way and help them. It's not to build their bank balance. It's not to bring them more real estate or build them more, you know, better businesses. It's our ability, our universal ability that we all have to impact somebody at a deeper emotional level, to bring them from here to a better place, wherever they are, to feel more connected, to feel more special. What makes our gift, I believe, unique is the story in which we've lived. And that's the lens in which we look at our gift, our own personal narrative. I'll give you an example of this, and I can give you tons of external examples, but I'm going to give you one that's very close to my home. My wife was brought up in a fairly poor area of Ireland, and her kind of singular goal, amongst other things, was to get out, to run away from what she didn't want. And that's another challenge for a lot of people that I work with, is that they're spending most of their lives telling you what they don't want, moving from what they don't want as opposed to something they do want in their lives, which is a big difference energetically. So she wanted to escape the poverty, escape this rural area. She was good at math, okay? Her career guidance person identified and says, you're great at maths. Your sister's an accountant. Why don't you become an accountant? That's your gift. Your gift is with numbers. She's going, great, I get paid well. It's my way. It ticks all the boxes. She heads off into the accounting world, spends 20 years in accounting. She is not even remotely honoring her gift. And let's just say, it doesn't matter how it happened, let's just say over a period of the last 2 or 3 years, she's really let go of accounting, had the courage to really truly let go of what she knows, which is now really speaks to this identity crisis that she faces, because before she was the accountant. Now who is she? She was the mother, but who is she? And now she's actually working with women to help them identify who they are, and to know their identity and not to lose their identity in motherhood, in careerism, in parenting, in being a wife, etc. She's now executing her gift. She's now impacting other people and allowing them, and creating a space for allowing them to feel and know who they are for the first time in their lives. Now, you tell me, is accounting her gift or a talent? And is moving people and helping people shift emotionally a talent or a gift? I see them as gift and talent.
Now, but can an accountant then be a gift, right? Can you move emotionally people, you know, as an accountant? No, you can't.
No. You can as a person, not as an accountant.
Right. Okay. So basically...
Hang on. Explain explain that, because I thought that was a great question, and you shocked me. That sounds terrible. Oh, I'm shocked by your response. But I was surprised. I was marginally surprised as opposed to shocked by your response there. So he said, can being an accountant be a gift? And you said no. So what makes you say that?
Not talking about your wife, like somebody.
Yeah. He's generalizing.
No, I don't believe anything. I don't believe being an accountant is a gift. I don't believe being a builder of walls is a gift. I don't believe building software, building computers is a gift.
Is a coach being a gift?
Or sorry, it's a talent, I should say. Not anybody can be a coach. And let's just say I have spent the last 10 years studying goal setting. And maybe my whole philosophy around coaching is around goal setting, the mechanics of goal setting. So depending on how I approach it, we all have gifts. So that coach, that accountant, that wall builder, they're all gifted. What I'm saying is they're not necessarily using and honoring the gift. They're just executing using the talent. They're just executing using the talent. So they're not necessarily honoring their gift. Their gift is their ability to step away from the computer screen, not to rely, or maybe in some cases hide behind the numbers, and actually look somebody in the eye and affect them emotionally. Is that human connection? It's not done over the internet necessarily. It can be, but it's our ability to move another person emotionally. That is, I believe, our inherent gift. An accountant just doing accountancy isn't using their gift in that context. They're just executing on maybe something they're good at, which is their talent.
So the question to me is, okay, let's say that you have somebody who, that's it, I love numbers. That's my thing, and really you go to the values, you remove the filters, and you just go deep down, and you say, well, shit, that's my thing. I just love my numbers, and he's an accountant, right? And he's good at it, and he feels connected to this work, and is passionate about that. Let's say that, let's whatever we attach to passion. So what you're saying, because he's not connecting with the people, he's not emotionally connecting, that's something which he shouldn't do, or is not there yet, or what's
So that's stage 2. What I'm really interested in is the person is telling you that this is what I love and this is my passion.
Yeah.
It sounds like that man or that woman or that person is incredibly attached to making sure that not just do they know, but they want you to know that this is not just their talent, but their gift, because they're scared. You remove the computer.
Please let me stop you now. So what if that person, their gift was connecting with other people, or their gift was something that's more aligned with what you're talking about now? So if somebody said to you, okay, so Olivier's example is numbers or whatever. What if my example was, I've got a client and their gift is going out and making people feel great about themselves, and they do it for free. And they go out and they go onto the I-4 and they stop people and they get homeless people and they give them some food and they talk to them and they make them feel great about themselves. Where does that sit? Because let me be honest with you now. It sounds to me like you're cherry picking on what you think is a gift and what you think should be the right thing to do, as opposed to an individual's internal belief on what they think is right about them. So if your wife really believed in, and I know my accountant, she's got, this sounds like almost like a joke, and it's a horrible joke, and I hate to say it, and it's not meant to at all, because she's got anal cancer at the moment. And so she's off, and she loves to help people with their numbers. That is her gift, and it's her talent. And I think it's, to me, and I don't mean you, Philip. I'm just generalising now. It's disingenuous to say to her that, oh, you shouldn't be doing that. That's not really.
Well, I'm not suggesting. I'm not suggesting.
No, I know you weren't. That's why I said it was. Yeah. I wasn't meaning to mean you. But so I'd just like to get your feedback on that.
Okay, so let's just take your accountant lady as an example. So what I would say is there that. And I've had this debate with so many people, and rather than debating it, I said, well, let's just have the conversation. We get into it. And 100% of the time, not 99%, 100% of the time, what's turned out is that accountant, I'm just using this lady as an example. If she was listening to it, she may disagree.
I understand.
Because I don't have her in front of me. But she might her gift and her desire and her love is helping people, period.
Well, you could say that about
hang on. Period.
I love this.
All she knows and all she's known is numbers. So she feels safe. And dare I say it, there's a possibility that she doesn't have enough value in her own skin to believe that she can help people outside of numbers. So let me give you an example, a real life example of this, and I can give you thousands. I created an event called One Last Talk, where you have to come onto a stage and give your last talk in 15 minutes before you die. Every single person I ask, and 80% of them are non-speakers, they've never spoken in their lives, and 20% is held for people who are so-called professional speakers. The same thing happens when I ask anybody, you want me? But what could I possibly share? And everybody that comes to the speaker retreat that I work with them to help them extract their best story, not my best story, what I think they should speak about, always starts with something external. Well, here's what I believe about global warming. Here's what I believe about this. Here's what I believe about numbers, whatever it is. And I go, great. I want it to be your story. And then they get up and they share part of the story slightly begrudgingly, but they still own it. And they get off that stage and they go, oh my God, I didn't realize my story had this much value. I didn't realize my story would touch Peggy in the 5th row, that it would touch Oliver in the 19th row, that they had the same situation, but no one's ever said it's okay. My wife would have said her gift is her numbers until she really stopped and said, is my gift my desire and my ability to affect people? And maybe I'm hiding behind my numbers because that's all I know. What I'm saying is your accountant can move hearts and souls and drop the numbers. She may choose in the future to use the numbers to affect people in addition. But because she's comfortable with numbers, sometimes the gift gets lost and diluted. That's what I'm saying. Okay.
I'm going to have to agree and disagree. I think for some people that's true. I think for other people that's not true at all. I think you're taking a massive wide scope and just dragging everybody into the funnel. I think there are people that can do that. How my accountant is acting and get real meaning from that, real purpose from that. And I think it's disingenuous from us, especially, I'm guessing that you're like me. To me, numbers mean nothing. And it's just like, whatever, just give me the final figure. To her, I know that they mean a lot and that she goes back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And that to her is really important and really meaningful. It's not a game with her. It's not like, well, I need to be doing this. It's what she feels like she's called to do. And I think,
but what if there's more? What if there's more? What if there's more?
Well, what if there's more for you, mate?
No, forget about me. But I'm not saying that she doesn't get value from that. I'm not saying she's not making a difference. I'm not saying she doesn't get purpose. What I'm saying is it's her desire to give back is where her real joy is coming from.
So what if there's more? So there's a presumption that there is more. You wouldn't ask that question if you didn't feel like there was. So the presumption comes from your way of looking at life. The presumption comes from well, there would be more for me, therefore there must be more for her.
That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah, well, it does, because if
I'm asking for what. No, well, what if so, guys, it's incredible how this conversation is not. It's becoming it's a very much it's becoming an argument and a debate. I work with thousands of people, and every single person I've ever worked with, when they let go of their attachments to what they do and what they know, they just let go. They let go of the charge. It's amazing what else can emerge. Maybe the same thing emerges. Maybe nothing's different. But always, when we let go of everything that we hold to be so tight, when we hold so tight to something and just say, okay, what do I not see? Something else emerges, a possibility, another element, an opportunity. It just, if we can just let go of that just maybe, this girl is brilliant at helping people with numbers. But if, let's just say, accounting was banned and she had to find a different and another way to help another human being, maybe if she let go of the numbers, I'm not being disingenuous at all. I'm just saying it's a possibility. She could say, well, actually, one of the things as a kid I gave up was my guitar, my music. And actually, you know what? Honestly, if I couldn't practice accounting, if I had to give it up, I'd actually go to Guatemala and work with kids and teach them how to play the guitar. And it might possibly bring her more joy than the numbers ever have. That's my point. I'm just saying we just need to let go.
I like that. I like the let go, and I was watching at you too, and it was just like Irish and British fighting together. Right? It was so nice to and it was so cute. I was just like, oh, I'm in the middle.
I love Ireland.
I lived 6 years, and 6 fucking years in Ireland as well. Let's be friends. Come on, guys. Let's go off things. Okay. So you talk about goal settings actually, and you said something at the beginning that you're no more, some more kind of attached to these goal settings things. So can you elaborate on this thing?
Yeah, I think goal setting is it's great. Intentions are great and visualization is great and everything else. The problem is that, again, it's back to the same principle that most people are attached to goals that don't serve them. And that, they have a bunch of goals that they think they want to achieve. And it's like, are they yours? They belong to somebody else. And when you really delve in and ask the why behind the goals, like the real essence behind it, generally speaking, you will find that the goals that they're attached to are not in alignment with who they are. Why is that the case? It's very simple. Because they don't fucking know who they are. Most people have gone through 18 years of schooling or 25 years of formal education, and never once, in my personal opinion, have they gone to a classroom that over the door says, hey, come in and get to know who you really are. Forget about what we're trying to teach you here, what we're trying to tell you, what we're trying to force on you. In some cases, what do you believe? What do you feel of the world? What's your gift? What's your talent? Like, have those conversations. So a lot of people take goals, dreams, and aspirations that are often belong to somebody else. They read a book, they go, hey, I want to be the next Richard Branson. Do they really want to be the next Richard Branson? Are they making that assumption because they've read about Richard Branson and they think Richard Branson is successful because they've been told he's successful? And they're going, yeah, he's got an island, he's got 85,000 staff, and he has multiple businesses. Yeah, but have you lived with him for a week? Do you know, does he have peace of mind? Is he actually happy? So is it the trappings that you see that he has? So again, it's really doing a deep dig into the why behind the goals that people say they want. And a lot of them are intellectually and forward facing, and they're missing a lot of the stuff that's in front of them every single day.
So what you do for me is just like maybe waking up people, like just make them awaken and realize who they really are. So do they do the shift after that, just to say, okay, look, now I just want to teach guitars to, like you said in your example, like guitars to orphan in Peru or something like that, just because it takes courage as well after that, because you've been, there's all this pressure, just, oh shit, I have a loan, I have this, I have that, I need to provide all these things. How hard it is now to, okay, I realize I want to do this now, I want to be a singer, I want to be whatever. How hard it is now to just make the jump after that?
Well, I think a lot of the reasons that people put in front of you for the reasons they cannot make the jump are serve them. They're convenient. So I can't do it because my kids. And so, well, what does that mean? So, well, when my kids are 18, they're through school, then I'll get back to and I'll look at what I want to do with my life. For now, I need to just serve them. My argument or my invitation and my challenge to that is, okay, great. So what would you do if this was 20 years from now and your kid was saying the same thing? You'd go, oh, live your dream. Well, put it this way, every single person I've asked that question to, every parent says, live your dream, step into it, don't wait, go for it right now. And I say, okay, great. Well, if you'd say that to your kids, why don't you do it yourself? Because otherwise, in 20 years' time, it's going to be another lecture from another parent who didn't do it themselves, but now are telling you that you should do the same thing. So my invitation to people is to really not be selfish, but to live the best version of who you are today, irrespective of whether you think it's so-called selfish on the surface that you're not looking out for your kids, because what you'll do in turn is inspire your children by the way you live your life every single day. So things like mortgages and things like private schooling and everything else, a lot of people put those things in place because to some extent they want to be trapped a little bit. They're not conscious of that, but because people are really afraid to take the masks off and be seen for who they are. Really afraid.
Well, yeah. I would agree with that. But and I've heard something which is very, very interesting when you did this, the last episode of London Real, because you mentioned your dream, I think, your goal, which was when you said it, I was just like, wow. And what you said is you want to become president of Ireland in 2025 or something like that.
Correct.
So that's to me, like, that was, wow, that's something big and huge, right? But this is, so is it a goal or is it your dream? What inspires you to go there, to do this?
I kind of want my life, and again, I'm not saying it is, but I suppose I aspire in some respects and want my life to be somewhat inspirational. I love the idea that if I can, in my own small way, inspire people as I move through this earth. But I also want my life to be aspirational and something that I aspire to be or something I aspire to achieve in the future. The thing before in my life is that I get overly attached to an outcome. I would get to the top of that mountain. I would achieve something. I was a great goal setter and a great goal achiever. But the problem is I'd get to the top of that mountain, like so many people in society today, they get to the top, they go, I made it. And then they'd look around and they'd feel an emptiness and they'd feel, shit, I thought it would feel better. I thought it would feel more fulfilled. Some cases it does, but in many cases it doesn't. But what they do is they go down the mountain, and the mistake they make is they look across the horizon and they go, the problem is I climbed the wrong mountain. And they repeat the same pattern. They keep setting new goals and new goals and new goals. And all the while, they're not addressing this niggly feeling that maybe I'm just not doing something that I'm destined to do. So for me, I put this thing as aspirational, President of Ireland. The reason that I've done it is twofold. One is I want people to dream a little bit bigger, a little bit outside of themselves. And if I can inspire that, great. I'm also curious to know if I put something out there into the future, I'm testing something to see how the world works, how the universe responds and everything else. But I'm not getting attached to it. I don't need to be President of Ireland to validate who I am, to make me significant. Everything I do every single day is going to determine, and that's the judge and jury, whether I'm a good person or a bad person. Whether I'm President of Ireland or not, I'm not that attached to it. If I get there, I'm going to use the office to inspire people.
Oh,
that's the purpose. It's not for my ego. It's not because it's a big, nice White House or whatever it happens to be. It's a non-political role because I don't believe politics change the world. I believe people do. And they're not necessarily the same thing. So that's kind of my why behind it. It's to inspire people to know that it's okay to put something out into the world, but not to get attached to it. I don't need to be President of Ireland to feel successful.
You know, I lived 2 years in Dublin, you know, and I was running in Phoenix Park, and it was a great time over there. But let's project ourselves. Let's assume you get it, okay?
Yeah.
Let's assume 2025, Philip is elected. Hooray! What is the first thing that you would do? What is the first, you know, decision of things, you know?
Well, I think the first thing I would do is I think I'd write a speech about how beautiful Ireland is and how amazing the people of Ireland are, to hopefully remind them that often, you know, the grass is always greener. I think like a lot of people, when they look in the mirror, they underestimate the power they have, they underestimate the beauty they have, and they very, very, very often underestimate the story they've lived. And I would try and attempt as best I could to inspire the people of Ireland to know and to start hopefully believing how amazing the country is, how big an impact we've made around the world, and to start believing in the country again. Because during the Celtic Tiger, people got a little bit lost. We start focusing very much on making hay while the sun shines in an economic sense. We became went from one of the poorest countries in Europe to the second wealthiest country in the world in 12 years. And we lost a lot of the core essence of who we were. We lost our way. So I'd remind the people. I'd open the doors to the big, massive mansion, and I'd bring as many people as I could possibly through the doors to demystify this hierarchical thing that the president is worth more than anybody else. And I'd get out into the streets and I'd inspire, but I would travel the length and breadth of the globe to inspire people and teach people about Ireland and how beautiful Ireland is, and what it's done for me as a man and as a person, as a teacher.
I have a last.
Should I give my Irish story now?
What did you say?
Should I give my Irish story?
Oh, you have an Irish story to say?
You've heard it once. I think I gave it quite in one of our first.
All your stories are shit, my friend. Is it the good one?
Okay, I won't give it then. I won't give it. Okay.
Oh, come on, give it now, Tim. Don't be your diva like you usually do. I need to beg you.
I was in Westport.
Oh, you told me this one. Okay, now go on.
Okay, see, I told you, and I was in Westport, and I was there on business. I got to go to Tipperary the following day, so I went down to the bar because I had no idea how far it was to Tipperary, and I said to the girl there, I said, "How far is it to Tipperary? This it's not a joke. It's not a joke on how long to Tipperary." And she said, "Oh, I don't know. I've never been that far myself, sir. Let me get Sarah over here. Sarah, this gentleman wants to go to Tipperary. How far is it to Tipperary?" Sorry for my appalling accent.
I thought she was from India.
Oh, yeah. Oh, right.
Give him shit, Philip. Give him shit.
Indian people there. Oh, Tipperary. She said, "No, Mr. Jones over there." Whatever. And anyway, he came up. He said, "It'll be 4 hours." And I'm looking at the map and thinking, don't be fucking stupid. There's no way it's going to be 4 hours to Tipperary. So I got a meeting there at 12 o'clock in the morning. I set off at I don't know, 8 o'clock or whatever. 4 hours later, I was still traveling to Tipperary. I had no idea. I had never been to Ireland before. And I had no idea that suddenly, like, dual carriageway would go down to a one-track farm track or whatever. It was awesome. I mean, in retrospect, it was brilliant. It was just like this.
Part of it.
yeah, it was just like fantastic. I mean, I was getting frustrated at the time because I was late for this meeting, but at the same token, I was like, why didn't I fucking listen to these people? They said it's going to take this, and I was like, no, it won't. Look, it's only like 1.5 inches on the map, and I got there, and I was about an hour late, I think, and they like, to them, I was early. Like, oh, you're already here. Oh, sit outside, Tim. You'll be all right. We'll be with you in a couple of hours. It's just like, and I just fell in love with the country. I just thought, to me, it's like the best description I can give is like, it's almost like being in the West Indies, but cold. Do you know what I mean? It's just like that, just relaxed. So much different to anywhere else in Europe or anywhere else I've been to, other than the West Indies where it's hot. And the people are fantastic, absolutely fantastic. I think the Irish people are probably the nicest people on the earth that I've met, and I've been to a lot of different countries. So I just thought I'd throw that in there. So.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim, for
this. It's funny when you ask for directions in Ireland, they'll often start with, you go down the road and you turn left and you'll see a farm on the right. That's not where you're meant to be.
Yeah.
And they tell you where you shouldn't be. And, and then when you go on, there's a right turn. No, don't take that one.
Yeah.
And they tell you what you shouldn't do and what turns you shouldn't take. And it can be very confusing, but it's funny.
Yeah. I'm sure that happened to a certain extent, but that's just the bits I remember. But I just remember being, and the thing was at the time, because I sailed into the Northern Ireland and came through Belfast when the Troubles were going on, and I couldn't believe, I was a little bit leery of how I would be treated. And I couldn't believe how just awesomely friendly the Irish people were. And just had there was no like, oh, you're British, you're scum of the earth or whatever, which I kind of expected. They were just beautiful people, just fantastic. So,
cool. Cool. A nice story, Tim. Philip.
Sorry.
This is what he does. It's too long. Always I said, no, don't go to the story. Even he goes to the story and it's fucking too long. By the way, I love Ireland as well. My son is Irish. He has an Irish passport. I stay 6 years over there. So I'm in love with the country. I beat you, Tim. Anyway, thank you, Philip. Thank you, Philip, for being on this show. We are approaching the end of the hour. This is the show. We get to the debate. We do this stuff. Hope at least you had fun with us and
absolutely.
Please.
Yeah, and sorry if I got a bit argumentative. I do tend to get a bit argumentative after a glass of water. So,
and Musli's as well, yeah. And your
mostly, yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Battle.
Thank you, Philip, and hope maybe I will talk to you in a year or no, in 9 years now, to the future president. This is what I would like you to do.
Yeah, that would be awesome. We've never had a president on. We're banking on President Trump. Who wouldn't be? But a real president would be great.
Cool. Thank you, Philip.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, guys. Cheers.